Secretary of Transportation Elaine Chao about steps airlines and other forms of transportation are taking to make us more comfortable while traveling.
The airlines are working with their flight crews to require that passengers wear masks. It's for everyone's safety. And to the extent possible, to space out passengers in the airline cabin. The monies that are given to all the modes of transportation, transit, passenger rail, buses, airlines, it also includes monies for deep cleaning, to buy cleaning equipment, to buy sanitizers, to buy cleansing agents.
But before you book that flight, is it worth it with potential risks and hits to your wallet? Joining us now with advice is travel expert Troy Petenbrink. So good to see you, Troy.
Good morning, Angie.
Good morning. So we know more states, they're reopening, and we're seeing this gradual uptick in more people wanting to travel. I think it's fair to say at this point, people care more about safety than cost. I mean, cost is definitely a factor, but they want to know that they're going to be safe. Is that correct?
Sure. I mean, it's a fine balancing act right now, and it's certainly a balancing act even within the industry. The airlines want to keep their passengers safe, yet at the same time, they make money by having volume, and that's a delicate balancing act.
And Secretary Chao told us that, you just heard it right there, saying that, look, airports and airlines, we've got to hold them accountable. They are ramping up their deep cleaning. We're helping them with that. We're setting aside monies for that. High-touch surfaces, sanitizer stations. Do you think that they're doing enough? Should people feel comfortable at this point? Because we've all seen those pictures out on social media where,
Yep.
they're supposed to be taking the middle seat out, but yet some people reporting that some of these flights, despite the low numbers of air travel, people traveling are full.
Yeah, I think we will get to a point where passengers can feel safe. I don't think we're quite there yet. And I think part of that is because we're still in a ramping up and a learning curve. We're also talking about a variety of different players here. It's not just the airlines, but it's the airports that have a role in this. The TSA has a role in this, and passengers. We all have a role in this too. So when those things all start to gel, I think we're going to get to a point where it will be relatively safe to travel. I think right now, though, you are going to have to take a lot of precautions, and you're going to have to weigh your risk. But I think we will get to a point where it is going to be generally safe to travel.
Now, when you say that some of this responsibility, of course, falls on us, you do have some tips for travelers. Where do we begin with this? How do we need to think differently before we head to the airport and get on a plane?
Yeah, well, I think people need to realize that your flying experience is going to be very different for a while, and probably different long term, just like we saw after 9/11. So a couple things to keep in mind. You're going to want to keep track of these evolving policies. One day it's masks are optional, the next day it's mandatory. We're going to see certain things happening too. We're hearing talks about temperature checks, those sort of things. So you want to be keeping track of those policies. The other thing is you're going to be doing a lot more of the work. That means downloading the airline app, because you are going to be required to check in yourself, to show your ticket, to check in your bags, those sort of things. You also want to register for the notifications, because flights are going to get canceled quickly. Flights are going to get full. And in some cases, like United Airlines, they're going to give you the option to change your flight if you feel uncomfortable because the flight's getting full. So you want to make sure you register for those notifications. I would also suggest at this point, keeping to carry-on only. That's going to limit the amount of contact that your bag has with other people, keeping it in your possession, that sort of thing. Now, I will caution that might change. Airlines are talking about keeping carry-on off the plane as a way to keep the cabin cleaner. We don't know where that's going to go yet. I would also say bring your own mask, your own sanitizers, and even your own snacks, because, again, that's going to limit the amount of interaction. And then also budget a lot more time. Airports and airplanes are not built for social distancing practices in terms of boarding, in terms of ticketing, all of those things. So there's going to be a lot more time involved as we move forward.
Yeah, and I think that totally piggybacks off you mentioning about the evolving, guidelines and the changing that, the changes that we hear every day from the airlines. We all have to be ready for that and factor that in. So, Troy, how can people connect with you if they got more questions?
Hey, follow me online on social media. I'm the Gay Traveler. I got plenty of information out there that I'm following along. And Angie, I'll just say one thing about pricing. Right now there's some great deals. Those prices are going to go up. So if you are finding some deals and you want to lock in, you might want to do that. because the fees have been waived and things are changing. So you might be able to get in on some good prices right now, but those prices are going to go up.
Great tips. Troy Pietenbrink, thank you so much.
My pleasure, Angie. Take care.
You too.